So, Bridge and Shinedown have been arena bands for a while now. For you as players, what are the adjustments that you had to make at that level on the stage, and in terms of rigs and actually, your experience as players? Were there learning curves for you?
For me, it was always kind of a moving target. It's my rig was constantly changing. I've learned to simplify. When you're doing the arena thing and you've got so many different amps for different sounds, if something goes wrong, it's tough to hunt it down and live in the moment. So I think a simpler rig for me works. That works better for me.
Yeah, you haven't got the twins anymore.
No.
Do you miss those ever?
I miss them, but not enough to carry them around in road cases and have one more line in the chain of things that could possibly go wrong. I can just switch to to clean channels of my. Right now I'm using a rectifier and a PRS Archon. I can just take the presence on those things and jack them way up and really bring up the high end of those and turn the low end way down and kind of replicate a twin as good as I can. And if you're 20 rows back in an arena, you're not going to be able to tell the difference.
I mean, for me, I was kind of like him for a while. I had a big rig with 4 or 5 amps, and it came down to simplicity. As far as adjusting, it's just like you're playing when you're in arenas. You're just trying to play to more people. I try to make eye contact with everyone in the crowd at least at one point. So it's like I learned going to shows when I was a kid. When you're in the back row, you want to feel like you're just as a part of it as you are in the front row. So it's like I try to play with the kid in the back row too. But yeah, rig-wise, simplicity. I ended up I'm the sacrilegious one of the two of us. I went digital.
Oh boy. For
the last 3 years, but I'm actually going back now. I've decided on this tour actually, probably just watching him every night. I'm like, I'm going back to amps. So I'm gonna get out of the digital thing again. And honestly, even when my rig was big, it wasn't crazy. It was 4 heads usually, sometimes a 5th head, but everything was in stereo, and I used only stomps. I never used any like multi-effects processor. It was all just mostly tube screamers, a delay, sometimes a chorus, and a compressor, and that was literally the rig.
So were you using Axe Effects?
I use the Axe Effects now, yeah. And there's when you go out front, man, you can't really, no one's gonna be like, oh, that's not an amp. But for me, even though I run cabs on stage pretty loudly, I'm still missing something when I solo. And you know what? It's probably something intangible that I'm the only person that can hear. But I can hear it, and I'm the one that has to play through it. So
we were having the same conversation before you walked in.
Yeah, it's definitely, I'm missing something, and
there's something. Yeah,
I don't even know if I can tell you what it is because I'm pushing air. I have a mic. My cabs are mic'd. I'm using every bit of direct and mic into my ears. I use the same universal audio aux that you use, and it's just I'm something's not there.
So have you guys tried the modelling path?
We've in the studio we've used them, which is it's a different thing altogether. Yeah. But live, we're at the stage now where we're starting to take in consideration of going digital for like convenience and that sort of thing. But it's a trade-off, and we were having this conversation 2 seconds before we started where if it comes to the point where even if it's minute where it affects the way you play, if it's detrimental to the way you play because something's missing, then it's
for me it does.
Yeah,
the digital thing. Yeah, it don't feel like me playing guitar no more.
Right.
It's a horrid thing.
Yeah, he's so stern against it. I'm kind of like I can understand the trade-off, for like a touring band if you can't get a decent hire in or whatever. But yeah, I think old school musicians like ourselves, I think we're always going to be
keep the valves.
Yeah, keep the valves in.
Save the valves t-shirts.
Yes.
That's what we need.
Power to the valve. Yeah.
When you reach a certain level, is there an expectation from audiences that there has to be a visual element, quite a strong visual element to this show? I mean, from what I've seen, it seems like Bridge have kind of stepped up with that. Shinedown really kind of big on that. How involved are you with that side of things?
We used to be the stubborn ones that just put can lights up and did our show and say it's about the music, it's not about explosions and all this stuff. And then years go by and you see bands you really respect doing it right. Like I remember watching Gojira, and they had the cryo kick in and the lights programmed perfectly on a time code with the show and just done right. And at some point you just have to grow out of we're not good at coming up with the stage plot of everything. So it's good to look outside the band, see what other people are doing, and see if you can do your own spin on it. And it took our show to another level, having the added production. As much as we hate to admit it, it just, when you're a fan of a band, and that big spectacle just helps draw people in a little bit. But this is really the first tour we've really pushed it this far.
Cool. And then the reaction's been good.
Yeah. And we're still not blowing stuff up, and there's no fire or anything like that, but it's
not intentionally.
Yeah.
Do you all have any kind of pre-show routines, and are there things that you found don't really work for you before a show in terms of warming up, and do you warm up?
Yeah, have the guitars in the dressing room, definitely warm up, limber up the hands. Because if you've been travelling, they stiffen up, don't they? You just but yeah, definitely limber up for get a good hour beforehand. Yeah.
Do you have like a little practice sound back?
No, we don't. But I've just seen these things where you can get these headphones on there. It's like an amp.
The Boss.
Yeah, or I think Orange do some.
Box and stuff.
Have you tried them?
I've got one right in there. I've got one.
They're
good.
A jam box now too.
Yeah,
you got like 4 outputs, and you can all just kind of jam together.
That's cool. So something like that.
Control your own cue too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just always have a practice amp in there. Just the little 15-watt MT15s in there. But
he just plays guitar all day.
Yeah. My warm up really is improvising. Just not going full bore right out of the gate. Just trying to pretend like mom's in the room. You got to play something sweet for her, get warmed up. But I think that's the best way to loosen up your bending and your vibrato and whatnot. Last thing I'm going to do is sit down and sweep arpeggio to warm up. I like to just break in the feel altogether.
It's more interesting for you as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I made the mistake last week when we played our show, our last show of the year. I just played so much, my fingers were raw before we went on stage. I was like, why did I do that? I think it was a nerves thing, I was just like playing and playing. But
we have a full band in the States. We have a full band jam room, kind of like the Metallica setup. So we have drums and bass rig and guitar rig in there, and we like to get in there. There's the 3 of us without Brent, and just kind of work through some stuff. It's like kind of like what he said. Like I kind of need to feel the guitar, And there's definitely days where I won't warm up at all, and I can certainly tell the difference in my playing, and and how. To me, guitar for our show is about being comfortable. I want to feel supernatural, like another appendage. And on days where I don't warm up, it doesn't feel like that way. It feels like I'm having to work for it, and it's like I don't like it to feel that way. So we like to get in a room and kind of just jam together, and even if it's on nothing that we're gonna play that night, we'll just. To me, it's about just kind of going, okay, this is where everything is. Like, remember it,
The amount of tones that are accessible to younger players and all players at like a relatively accessible price is never been greater. Do you think, coming from a different generation, that it's almost a distraction for players, the amount of choice that they have, and the amount of the kind of multi-effects processes and the likes?
I think when you're young and you're trying to save up money for guitars and amps and pedals, you always see the new ad coming out, this new piece of gear, and you don't think you're going to be good enough unless you have that piece of gear. And that was me. I worked at the car wash, and I worked as a bus boy, and I bought all these things that I realized later I didn't need. You have one good amplifier, and you can get a nice little lunchbox amp for $500, $600. Much better than anything I grew up on. You can buy a nice guitar for $500. So for an achievable amount of money, you can have all you ever need to practice. You don't need the $2,000 Kemper right off the bat. You don't need the $4,000 Bogner Ubershaw. You can buy good sounding stuff. It's just sometimes it's hard when you're a kid. When you see a price tag on something, you just think it's better. But when you grow up and you realize you can get better stuff, just use your ear and go to a guitar store and plug in every damn thing you can, and just focus on one tone for the next couple of years and save up for something different if it strikes you. Don't waste all your money on every damn rack there is that comes out.
What kind of questions do people ask? Do you do clinics as well, Zach? What kind of questions do you tend to get?
Mine are different. For me, than like somebody like when I go do one with Dusty or somebody like Mark Holcomb, like I get a lot of songwriter questions, like riffs and things like that, and how you kind of come up with things. And because for me, like, I'll sit with Mark a couple days on this tour and try to work out things. It's like his brain works so different. That, like, he's such a great guitar player, and I am not.
Thanks, homie. He's really tough on himself.
I'm a decent guitar player, but for me, like, he can like him and Andy were just going over something real quick, and it's like he can hear something once and do it. And our bass player's the same way.
Not true.
Well, I feel like you can. And so for me, like, it'll take me, like, we were working on the eBay thing about a week and a half ago, and he'll show me something. Once I get it, I got it. But it takes me much longer to process things. Like, to watch someone else do it and then me try to do it. And my thing is, I would get really frustrated, right? So, like, especially in the studio, I get, like, red light fever. But so with the clinic things, I remember my first clinic, I was scared to death because I'm not like a fast, like, player. I'm more kind of bashing and more like bluesy and stuff like that. But people have been really nice to me in clinics, but it's mostly songwriting stuff and riffs. Like, how do you come up with riffs? Do you start with maybe like a beat in your head or something like that? And I've written more Shinedown riffs on a bass than I have on guitar, or even start with drums. But like Mark does really cool stuff. Like, we'll find like a piece of music and go, can I write something over this? And then completely change up what that is. And that's, you've kind of taught me that on this run, where I'm like, man, that's a cool thing to do. Like, listen to it like just a hip hop drum track, or listen to like something crazy and just like try to, and it kind of gets you out of your comfort zone, which is, this tour has taught me the most of that. And I've known Mark for 17 years. So it's like, to do that is something that I've learned, and I'm going to definitely try to put into my repertoire.
Yeah, man.
How does the songwriting process work in your band?
It tends to be like an individual process, doesn't it? And then ideas will be thrown at each other, and then we'll just come together and we'll flesh it out and make it a song, all the rest of it. But we did try, didn't we, on this last when we came off tour for the writing for this last album, we did try all getting in the room and doing it. But it just nothing was getting done. So we tend to write individually at home, riffs, little hooks, little melody lines, anything like that. Send them over. We got this group. It's just really just simple. And wow, that's cool. It's got something. When the singer will take it off and put a melody line on it, and then we'll go, oh, cool. Then we'll get together and it comes together. Quite often, the best ideas we've had have been like come together like 2 seconds. There's been no labouring over it, that type of thing. So, yeah.
So this year, if you focused on anything as players that you wanted to kind of address, you playing, anything you wanted to develop, or any bad habits that you wanted to get out, was there anything that you consciously, or maybe subconsciously, were working on?
Me personally sounds really silly, but something I'd never really done before, and that's just sitting down with a metronome. Never done it before, and just getting like strength in my hands and that type of thing. Something I never really thought about, but I've noticed a lot of improvement doing that. We just put a metronome on, just ramping up the speed, things like that, and that's what I've been focusing on this year.
For me, just kind of breaking out of the kind of dual scale thing, and being out here with him, it kind of helps that too. Just like, he'll play something, and I'll go, I don't even know what scale that is, and that, to me, that's like, being a guitar player on this level to myself is unacceptable. To go, I don't even know what that is. Like, I think you get into a place where you get so comfortable doing what you do, especially for me, coming from like a blues background, which is one scale, and really, like, I think I've just like gotten fed up with myself about how complacent I got with playing. So honestly, the main thing I started doing was playing guitar more. Even when I'm home, I have 2 young kids, so being a dad is kind of new to me. So like I would spend time doing that. But now when they go to bed, I'll go to my guitar room for an hour, and even if it's just an hour, and just really, it goes back to the same thing I'm talking about before the show, just putting my hands on the guitar. I think and we talked about this the other day, but like when you just, the more you play guitar, the better you're going to get, period. It's like anything else in life, the more you do it. So, watching him, I've said this in interviews in the past, but like, I'm friends with a lot of amazing guitar players. Like, I'm jealous that I'll never love the guitar as much as he does. And let me emphasize this, I love the guitar more than anything. But like, I don't think I'll ever be able to he
Guitar drives me nuts.
It's that's what I'm saying. Like he has,
more than
he
I like
has
it, it drives me nuts.
I mean, really, and I'm not trying to be dramatic about it. Like you have like a Shakespearean type relationship with the guitar, and it's honestly, it's true. And I'm not just saying this because we're here, but like it's truly inspiring to watch, man. Because it's like you'll let it kill you some days. Like you're just like
it kills me every day.
I know that's what I'm saying. So like watching him has been inspiring, just because to watch somebody work so hard at something, you know, and you just want to love it as much.
You know what? I do clinics first thing in the morning, so I'm forced to have my guitar and my amp sit up and playing. And once I think, like you said, you get the guitar in your hands, and you're going to practice more. If your first thing you start your workday with is a guitar clinic, you've got your guitar in your lap and you're going to be playing. Once you're sitting down and playing, you want to keep playing.
Yeah.
If it's when you're walking around the house like, let me play my video game or do this or go kick the ball in the backyard or whatnot. And I'll get to the guitar later. But if you get the guitar, then it's like, all right, I'm enjoying this and I'll keep playing all day.
Yeah.
You know. But I think what helps me is, like I said, my schedule starts with a guitar clinic in the day, and that keeps me playing. You know, I'll stumble upon something during the clinic that I'll come back to and practice when it's over.
Do you do a lot of writing on the road, would you say?
I write all the time. Yeah. Right now, my guitar clinics are about songwriting.
Cool.
It's about 20%. I go through a few specific solo ideas, and then I'll go into songwriting for the rest of the thing. And I try to write with people in the room and show them, you know, I try to let my guard down and show them how I write. And some days I'm telling everybody, hold on a second, let me get this, hold on, let me record this real quick. You know, so people get excited, like, you know, maybe I'll hear that on the next record. You could very well. Yeah. So I'm always writing. I never turn that off, no matter what time, no matter what, how far you are, even after you've just recorded a record, I like to keep writing. So I think if you turn your writing off, it's just like guitar skills. If you shut your imagination down for 6 months, it takes a while to bring it back up.
Yeah. Is there anything that you've focused on this year in terms of playing?
Playing wise, my right hand, I've focused on, you know, I grew up a kid who's like, if I just alternate pick everything and do it all the time, I'm just going to be able to make my string changes happen naturally. But you just realize, you know, you gotta add some stuff. You gotta add some hybrid picking and some economy picking and evening out the notes on each string so you're not ending on a downstroke. Just kind of looking at what I've done and what's tripped me up my whole life and outsmarting the right hand picking patterns to make it work, and just not being so, like he was saying, complacent about just like, one day it will come along. It's like, no, now's today. Let's figure out why this sucks and make it not suck. So picking is, I think, the biggest challenge going forever for me.
What about you, China? Is there anything that you've kind of...
Basically everything the guys have said.
Yeah.
All of it. It's just must be a guitar player thing.
The enemy, the
all
right
in that.
hand is the enemy, innit?
Yeah.
So it's always the enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the time.
Why
to
don't
do
you
it.
work?
Yeah.
You gotta make time to do
Yeah.
it.
The right down in the
This
mind.
hand.
Yeah.
The people look at the left hand because it's going like this,
yeah,
but it's
it's
the
like-
right hand.
yeah.
That's
Oh,
the.
I've learned
That
being
is
on
that
tour
is
with
your
Yeah.
engine room. That is
Yeah.
your that's the heart of the whole thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's your time.
That's your
everything,
rhythm.
innit?
That's your timing. Yeah.
And when you show people stuff in clinics, they're looking at this hand. It's like, no, watch
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
This hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the Paris stop of the tour was quite interesting. Zach and Miles got to play some quite special guitars.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Did you get to play spot or the
I played it.
the
We
final?
we did a press trip, me and Miles, and we came and we went to Matt's Music, and I got to play, you know, Jimi Hendrix's old guitar. I got to play all kinds of Billy Gibbons's old guitars and Jeff Buckley's guitar that he, you know, his Telly. Just crazy stuff. They just hand you stuff and be like, here's a 59 Paul that's was played by Dickie Betts or whatever. And it was awesome. Then, like I said, Miles got to play Hallelujah. Jeff Buckley was one of his heroes. So he got to play on his hero's guitar on, you know, Hallelujah in Paris. And he got choked up. By the end of the song, he was like, give me a second.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Especially at the Olympia too, because like I played it on a song, and it's just there's something about being in that place. And for me too, being from Memphis, and was at literally our Matt who works for our band. Me and Matt were at his last show, at Jeff's last show. So it's like you said though, it's a crazy thing about that store is that there's so many great, amazing guitars. All these 59 guitars, Les Pauls, which are obviously one of the most sought after guitars in the world, but there's something about that 1983 Telecaster that was Buckley's that you can buy a butterscotch 1983 Tele on Reverb for $1,200 all day long, but there's something about that guitar that when you play it, it's just
that clean tone as well.
It sounds like the guitar. I remember playing it in the store the night before the show, and I was playing all the 59 Les Pauls through a Marshall, and as soon as I grabbed the Tele, I think it was Max is the other guy that works there, came around and literally while I was talking to Matt, just plugged in the clean amp because it's like he knows, and like no capo in sight, you know what I mean? And you sit down with that Tele and he just kind of hands you a capo. He's like, just do it. Everybody wants to do it. So it's like you play Hallelujah, and like it sounds exact, you know. Yeah. And it, honestly, in your head, it probably could be any Tele, but it's like it was an amazing day for sure.
Is 59 Les Pauls? Not everyone's going to play one. Is there some? Do you think it's overstated?
No, I used to feel that way about old Martins and people would spend all this ridiculous amount of money on a classic guitar and a vintage guitar, and I picked up a 44 Martin, and it just rang out so nice. It was something I'd never heard before, and I thought it was all hype, but no, I mean you plug into. I have plugged into a 59 Burst that I didn't like, but the one the 60, I wanted to buy that damn 60 Les Paul. We went to Chicago, and the local shop, Chicago Music, brought out this 60 Paul that me and Miles both wanted to buy, but we'd have to sell our kidneys to get it. They're so damn expensive. But they're, just like anything else, there's great ones and there's ones that are no better than a new guitar. But you find the right one, there's magic in those things for sure.
What players have impressed you this year or last few years? All of you, that you really feel are doing something special, really inspiring you?
I mean, I got a laundry list of them. I mean, I could go on for days. Guys that kind of came out of nowhere and turned out to be the baddest guitar player, like Matthias Asado, I think just blows my mind. I think Joe Bonamassa has become somebody that not too many people knew to the biggest guitar player in the world. I think he's amazing. I think Eric Gales could be the best guitar player in the world. Derek Trucks, incredibly, just his notes are just the perfect choice. You guys go. I could go first.
I mean, same thing with Joe. Being friends with Joe is amazing. Me and Eric grew up together, and I saw him.
Dude, every time you mention a guitar player, it's like, oh yeah, dude, he was at my birthday party.
Yeah.
Was that Joe Bonamassa?
I've known Joe for a while, but I've known Eric since I was 12. And Eric was always the best guitar player I'd ever seen. You know what I mean? Just like, I remember watching a video of Eric Clapton talk about Stevie Ray Vaughan, how he felt like he was plugged into something and like he wasn't playing. It was almost like something was flowing through him. Like, that's what watching Eric play to me is like all the time. And then another, Jared James Nichols, who kind of came out of nowhere just as a blues guy this year, is truly impressed me. And
I'm not familiar.
Oh, he's great. You gotta check it out. Raw kind of Johnny Winter.
Cool guy as well.
Yeah, sweetheart
looks
guy,
cool,
like a
yeah.
young Zach kind of. You know what I mean? Like, just that raw kind of Johnny Winter. Just looks like he's gonna break the fucking neck off the guitar when he's playing it. And so I think though, and him, like I said, not somebody I'm new to, but I find something new in a Derek Trucks song. There's a Susan Tedeschi. She did a cover album, and there's a song where she does You Got the Silver, and he does a solo. It's literally like, it might be a 22-second solo. It's literally just a transition between the first chorus and the second verse, and he does this like disappearing note where he only picks it once, and he goes all the way down the neck, and he gets like this invisible note, and you're just like, you grit your teeth even when you're in your car, and you're like, oh, like I wish I could do that. Those are the ones for me.
He's all stoic, playing it like whatever.
Yeah, he looks like he's thinking about his socks. Thinking, did I put the right socks on?
Yeah.
I've been some guy we've been playing on the circuit with recently, a guy called Chris Barras. You guys heard of him now?
No.
British guy, used to be a UFC fighter.
Oh wow.
Similar sort of story is maybe like Joe Bonamassa, where he grew up in a sort of like a music store and he's fighting, that sort of thing. But youngish guy, he's in his 30s, and saw him play in the UK recently, and he's, guitar players have got that, it's not necessarily because he's the fastest or the quickest, but he's just got that touch, that kind of, you can't replicate that, or that's like innate in him. And I watched him play, and like, I was just like, as a guitar player now, I was just like, wow. and I haven't done that for a long time with a new guitar player that I've just discovered, you know. So it's definitely one to watch out for.